everyone, I'm Jill, the Wandering Stamper. I have some exciting news from Stampin' Up! For you. From June 1st through June 30th, all designer series papers in the annual catalog are 15% off. So it's a great time to stock up on all those beautiful new designer papers that are out there in the catalog. So today I'm going to show you a fun way to use up that paper that you already have. Maybe you're ready to retire it, but you just can't let go because it's just so pretty. We're going to make 3 unique cards using nothing but paper scraps and a couple of stamps. So let's get started. Okay, so the first card I'm going to show you, I used the retired Heart and Homes paper that I have. I've been wanting to use this up. I do love it, so I've held on to it. So we're going to use this, and it really matches well with this paper. So I just did a standard folded card base, a half a sheet of paper scored in half, and then I used my bone folder to burnish the edges. And then I cut 5 strips of designer series paper because everything coordinates. It just makes it a super easy card. These are 3/4 inch by 4 inches. And then I just took my paper snips and just cut little tails on each one. And then I used the same color base and cut one more piece, did the same thing, cut the little tails, and then stamped. I couldn't be happier to have you as my friend. And that comes from the Irresistible Blooms stamp set. So then the other thing I did, I cut one piece of cardstock that matches, and you could do a different color if you like, do whatever you want. This is a great way to just use up whatever you have on hand that maybe you just have a little bit more of and you want to use up. So I just cut it slightly smaller. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my dimensionals and kind of just figure out how you want to have these. So I think I'm going to put this brown one first, and then I'm going to do my sentiment, and then I think I will do this one, then my green. Let's see, I'll do my, you just kind of play around with it. I think I'll put this one here, this one here. I'm going to put this one down here because there's purple in it and I want to pull in this purple shade. So that's basically how I want to do it. And then you just leave a little tiny bit of space in between each one. So what I'm going to do is start with the first one. I'm going to flip it over and add my dimensionals. I'm just going to put 3, and then I'll flip this one over. I like to lay it out first just to know where I'm going to go with it. This is a great way to use up your paper to make room for the new, but also you could cut these strips up and make a whole bunch of cards at once if you wanted to, and have sort of a little stash of cards made up. Easy to grab. All right, put these on here, 2 more. You do use a lot of dimensionals for this one, but you don't actually have to put dimensionals on all of them. You could glue all of them flat onto the onto the cardstock, and then if you wanted to, just raise up your greeting. So that would work as well, and you wouldn't be using so many of these dimensionals. I like using dimensionals, so it doesn't bother me one bit. I did lay this out. I did use the garden green to stamp my sentiment, and it coordinates really well with the paper. So I have that. I'm just gonna leave a little bit of a border and put it on as straight as you can. I'm trying not to put my head in your way, so yours will probably be straighter. I love this take your pick tool for taking the backs off of these because it kind of keeps them from flying all over your work area. So then I'm gonna put the next one on, just leave a little border like that. Now if you want, you could just take all your dimensionals off at once. That works too. Okay. And then just be mindful if you have a direction on your paper that you don't put it upside down. Okay, so there we go. So this one's just slightly crooked. Oh, will drive me crazy, so must fix. I know whoever gets this card would probably never notice it, but when I know it's on there, I have to fix it. Okay, there we go. So that's all done. So now I'm gonna get some adhesive. Now you could use dimensionals again on the back of this, but I feel like we have enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some adhesive on the back. I'm just using my Stamp and Seal. And then I'm just gonna layer this on the front. I like adding just the second layer of cardstock. It just adds a little bit more to it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my very favorite embellishments. I feel like these little brass butterflies look really cute on this. So, and then on these cards, I think I'm gonna leave the inside blank for now because I'm going to add the messages based on who I'm sending them to. I sometimes do that. So there we go. So look how cute that is. It was super simple. You could add some ribbon, a bow, add your message on the front, but we utilize that continuity that the Designer Series paper packs have, where everything matches. So there's our first card done. So now on our second card, and I actually, on this card, I decided not to use it. I did punch out a few hearts, but I don't think it needs it. So this one's done. So now I'm going to show you what I did with this. This paper is sort of a mixture. This, the stripes and the dots, the checks, the dots, and the plaids all come from the free paper that came with Celebration. And then I had this rose gold shiny paper left over from something. So what I did is I just took my paper trimmer and cut strips out of it at angles. I didn't measure, I just kind of went with it and glued them all down. So I just put liquid glue. So you just want to get your liquid glue and cover your paper and then glue these in place. And you do want to be careful about getting liquid glue on the shiny paper because it does show a little bit, but it's not hard to avoid that. So I just cut the strips and laid them out into a pattern of 4. And then when they're dry, you just take your scissors and cut along the edge of the paper. And I didn't even match up my paper. I just used a scrap of cardstock I had because you don't see it. So you can use whatever you have. Again, it's a great way to use up scraps. I always have, I don't know if you do this, but I keep a scrap container that I put my scraps in. And apparently I'm a scrap hoarder because I will never run out of scrap paper. I save way too much of it probably and tend to never use it up. So this is a great way to use it up if you're like me. So you just cut all the way around the card and might have to glue this little piece down again. You want to make sure your glue goes all the way to the edge. Oh, mine did. Okay. So there you have this nice little design. I'm going to get all these little pieces out of the way. So I simply glued that down. So now I think I'm going to use dimensionals. I want to give it a little bit of a raised look. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. I'm going through some dimensionals today, aren't I? I think that's good. All right, I'm going to take these off. Love this Take a Pick tool. Before I got this, I used to have dimensional papers everywhere, and I could never quite get them off the pack, and this just makes it easier. So you can make your card any direction, this direction or the long way. I made this card, this is your standard card base, and then I just made this a 1/4 inch smaller. So I'm gonna layer that on. Look how pretty that is. And then I took the same paper and stamped Hooray It's Your Day, and I stamped that in fresh freesia because it matches perfectly. So I'll put that wherever. Actually, looks good that way too. I'm going to put it this way. So I'm going to use some more dimensionals. Okay, Whoop. Went a little crazy with the take your pick tool there. All right. And then this is going to go, I think I'll do it up here. And then I think I'm going to add a little piece of this white twine. And I'll just, probably should have done this before I put the dimensionals on. Let's see how I want to do it. I'll just do it this way. I'm going to wrap it around a couple times. This is a great thing to do before you put it down on the paper. All right, let me pick it up. There we go. So I just wrapped it around a couple times, and I think I'll just add a little bow. Way too big of a bow. All right, looks pretty good. Cut my tails. Cute. And then you can just kind of move it around. That's a little loose. I might tighten it later, but you get the idea. And then I also have these little flowers, and I thought that they might be cute. Maybe 2. Oh, we'll do 3 because we always do 3. These are some loose flower flourishes that I had. I'm going to use glue dots for these. Again, a great way to use your take your pick tool. Actually, the big one I can just put right down on there. And I'll put it right there. And then the 2 little ones, you could either use liquid glue, or you could just kind of ball up your glue dot a little bit. Sometimes I'll just put it where I want to put the embellishment, and then put the embellishment on top. Like that. There it is. I lost it for a second. Okay. So however you want to do it, and put this one over here. So there you go. And then I would put a nice little message in here based on who it's sending. I love the shine, but who I'm sending it to. So bow or no bow, it's up to you. I'm probably going to redo that bow. But there's card number 2. And then card number 3, I used Calypso Coral. And this paper all comes from the Patterns, what is this called? The Playing with Patterns Designer Series paper. And as you know, that's gone, unfortunately. So what I did is I cut 1/2-inch strips of 3 different designs. So I have this one. So I have 3 different designs, 1/2-inch strips. And I'm gonna basically do the same thing I did before. I have cut my standard card base, then I cut a layer of blue because it matched nicely with the paper for underneath the, on top of the base. And then I have a piece of white paper that is slightly smaller. So this is 4 by 5 1/4, and then this is 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm gonna take the 3 3/4 by 5, and I'm gonna take my liquid glue and just put that liquid glue down. I'm just about empty. I'm gonna have to get my other bottle that I know is full because I just had it explode from my elevation change. As you know, I'm at 6,300 feet, so everything I've opened that I haven't opened since we changed elevation, of course, explodes on me. Got that cleaned up though. So I just put a nice layer of liquid glue, and I kind of focus on the edge because you don't want your papers to peel up on the edge. So if it does, just add a little dab of glue under, but I put a lot on the edges to make sure they're full, and then just kind of, you could actually use a brush too if you wanted to brush it on, or you could put the glue directly onto the strips and then lay the strips down. I like to do it this way. So now I'm just going to take my strips and I'm going to lay them in the order that I want. So I think I'll start out with this. I'm going to do these at an angle. And let's see, let's do the stripes second. This is a great way to use your scraps as well. And you can kind of arrange them where you could actually get 2 uses out of them. And you just keep layering them on. You could actually do this as well, making them different widths too. You don't necessarily have to make them all the same width. And this is going to make a cute birthday card for someone. And you just want to make sure that you have enough to cut away on the edges. Other than that, it's your design, however you want it. And then we're going to have one little piece right here. I'm going to put a little bit more glue right there. So I don't want it to come off the edge. Okay. This glue is pretty quick to dry. So as soon as you have it done, you just, again, flip it over and get your scissors and give it a little trim. This is a great project for kids too. Kids could make this card very easily. Keep them busy cutting all the strips and measuring, and they'll also learn 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch, however you decide to make yours. All right, so we're gonna make that out of the way. Get all our scraps out. So look how cute that is. And then of course you can put it any direction. So I'm going to go ahead and layer it on here, and I'm going to use dimensionals again. It's a dimensional kind of day. Take your pick tool, and I just really like the 3D kind of raised look. And I don't have my sticky scissors. Oh yes, I do. Okay. And then what I'll do when I get to the end of my pack, you've got all these nice big pieces. Use them. Nobody knows. I'll just pop those down on there. So I don't even have to open a new pack. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my paper off. All right. And then I'm going to layer that on my blue because everything is color coordinated that way. And then I'm going to put some adhesive down on the back of my blue piece. And I'm sure you guessed it, I'm going to put it onto my card base. This would be great on a square card, a rectangle card. You could even do a slimline card. It works for everything. It's a great way to use your paper up. So then what I did is I just stamped "Wishing you the happiest birthdays." This comes from Charming Sentiments, and I cut it the width of the blue. So it's 4 inches wide, and then I think I did about 1.5 inches. And then I trimmed it down a little bit because I thought it was a little too wide with the greeting. So that's all I did there. I'm gonna go ahead and cut a couple more of these. You wanna make sure you use different scissors for your sticky pieces. Look, I even used a piece of scrap paper that I messed up on. So we are really using scraps to our advantage today. All right, take these off. And I'm gonna lay this at the bottom. Then I have these iridescent pastel gems. I think they're so pretty with this paper. I'm gonna go ahead and put a few on here. You could add bows. I mean, there's just use what you have. Be creative with what you have. I'm gonna use these. They're nice and bright. And maybe I'll use a blue one. And I'll put a blue one. Another blue one over here. So there we go. Look how cute. So all I did was use basic white, and everything else were scraps from my scrap bin. I just cut them in strips. You can do however you want. You could fan them out. You can make them different sizes. But it's a great way to use your paper and take advantage of the sales this month. Here are the 3 cards that I made. I'm curious to see which one you love the most. I can get them actually in my camera. There you go. So we've got 3 different designs, great for any occasion, great use of your scraps, and really didn't waste a thing. So I hope you liked this video. If you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next Wednesday. Have a great day, and thank you so much for watching.